Well, I drove here to show you how the migration is going on in Serengeti. Normally, the migration starts from the southern part of Serengeti, which is at Lake Ndutu. At Lake Ndutu is the lake where it's an alkaline lake, the soda lake. So then the wildebeest in March to April and May, they will be in the south for the breeding. The river, the calves, and the number increasing. From May, they start migrating all the way to Kenya, to Masai Mara Game Reserve. Yes. So why did they migrate from the southern part of Serengeti to Masai Mara Game Reserve in Kenya? Is by food in different seasons. Like when getting to May, the lake start to recede the water. So then the salt is increased. As the salt increase, then the wildebeest and zebra, they can't drink the water from there. Then they have to move. While they are moving, they keep feeding. They keep feeding all the way to Masai Mara Game Reserve in Kenya. Then they cross some rivers like Gurumeti River and Mara River. And this migration is said to have about more than 2 million wildebeest and zebras together when they are migrating. The migration starting from May, they go all the way central in the central Serengeti, all the way to west. Some they go on the western, some they go in the northern Serengeti to Masai Mara Game Reserve. So this is how the migration is going on.
All right, family, welcome back. We definitely didn't have this scheduled. We got my big brother, Uncle John, live with me on 103.7 The Beat. Brother, what just happened here in America?
Well, for the first time, grand jury has voted to indict a former president of these United States of America, Donald John Trump.
Man, and what does that mean?
Well, I think it means a couple of things. I think in the eyes of the grand jury, that means that no one is above the law. No one is above the law here in America. I think that that's what they would say if you were to interview somebody who's a part of the grand jury. Of course, that's secret. But I think from a layperson's point of view, I can't say that I'm shocked. I'm not shocked. I expected the former president to be indicted. At least I expected the grand jury to vote to indict the president, the former president. And I would not be surprised if another grand jury or two also votes to indict the former president. So I think to answer your question, from a layperson's standpoint, it's like, wow. It's like, did this really happen? That a grand jury voted to indict a former president, the leader of the free world. And it's mind-blowing, but I wouldn't say it's unexpected.
So John, what did he supposedly have done?
Well, supposedly there was hush money paid in the amount of 6 figures to Stormy Daniels, who is a former porn star, who says that she had an affair with the former president. He denies that they had an affair. But you can't pay hush money. You could, I guess technically you can pay hush money.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
go
did you say something, PA?
No, something. Yeah. I got this up on the screen. I got this Fox News up on the screen so people can see it. Those who are watching our stream, and something just played. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are laws, and there are campaign finance laws. There are laws here in America, and monies were paid to, they say illegally, monies were paid to influence an election. And I think, not to play Monday morning quarterback, but I said all along, I felt that Trump, if true, and of course in America you're innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, but of course there's also the court of public opinion. And I said right at the onset that if it were me, I would acknowledge that I did have this extramarital affair, and that would have been that. Of course, he may not have been elected had he done that, or maybe he would have been still elected. But I think that, I don't know that Americans overall really understand or really agree with indicting not just him, but anybody over hush money payments. I don't know how people overall feel about that, but there are laws here in America that allegedly everybody should abide by.
All right, Trill from Muskegon says, vote for Trump. We don't care, of course. This shows they scared of him. He also went on to say the world was a better place with Trump, was it not? Why should we care about this indictment, John?
Well, first of all, his comments, that I don't know what he would, I don't know what, with all due respect to the king, I don't know what he bases those comments on. That's obviously very arguable whether or not the world was a better place. But he's certainly entitled to his opinion. I'm just not sure what statistics he's speaking of. But I respect his opinion. It's just an arguable one for sure. Ask me the question again.
Yeah, why should we be concerned? Why should we care about the former president being indicted?
I think there are multiple reasons why we should care. I think that it's the former president. It's the former leader of the free world. Now, in other countries and other places in the world, we've seen former presidents go to prison. We've seen leaders of those nations go to prison, just not here in America. So America is now, if he is in fact charged formally and got a mug shot taken and goes before the judicial system, then if a court deems him, a court of his peers deems him guilty, then he will face what other nations have faced around the world. This is just something different for America. So I think that it's a first. We've never had anything like this happen in America, and I think we should always care about America being viewed like other places around the world, like other places have been viewed around the world forever.
Right. There are other investigations, because you've been following this, John. I got to give it, you're a bloodhound. You've been following this stuff, man. That's why we got you on, because I'm not like you, an investigative reporter, man. There are other investigations going on with former President Trump, right?
Yes, there is the investigation into the documents at Mar-a-Lago. There's also the investigation into the Georgia scenario where he called up and told them that he just needed to find 11,000 something odd votes so that he would win the state of Georgia. And there's also allegedly another woman that they're looking into illegal payoffs in New York, in the New York Manhattan District Attorney case in New York. And of course, there's also the civil suit with the in New York as well regarding the inflation of property, the gross inflation of property, and that 200 million plus lawsuit as well. So he's busy. He's very busy, and he's got lawyers, 4, 5, 6 sets of lawyers.
Well, here's a question from Tahir RBG here in Orlando. So, you think they're gonna put them cuffs on him though?
Well, if he is booked, that's, I think, the law. That's what they're supposed to do, is handcuff him. Now, whether or not we will see it, that's another thing, because you've got the Secret Service, you've got all these security measures. That's one reason why this is so big, because it's not just like you or I getting into something and we go down, get booked, fingerprinted, put the handcuffs on us. It's not like that. This is a former president of the United States who has Secret Service protection. So how do you coordinate all of that? But yeah, he is supposed to, as far as I know, he is supposed to be handcuffed prior to being booked. Of course, he won't spend. Go ahead.
Do you think this was a political hunt, man? Was it because these are Democrats in New York that they went after him because he's a Republican? What do you? Because that's going to come up.
Yeah, that's going to come up, but you got to understand. I could I could say I have an opinion about it. I don't know, but what I do know is that if a grand jury has voted to indict a former president of the United States of America, that means clearly that they've got evidence that's irrefutable. That means that they've got evidence that there is no defense whatsoever. It is irrefutable. We're talking about the former president of the United States of America. The grand jury has evidence, I assure you, that is irrefutable. They would have never voted to indict a former president of the United States if they didn't. And you got to remember, this goes back to before he became the president. This goes back to before he won the election. That there was talk about the whole Stormy Daniels thing, and Stormy Daniels had actually done an interview prior to Trump becoming president.
Wow, John. There's a lot to talk about. Well, I'm sure you're going to be doing some Facebook Live. We just wanted to get this story out. Thanks to you for being available to share your insight. He said it was going to happen, so
I did.
It happened.
Yeah, I did. I've been saying all along that I thought that the president would be indicted. I've been saying it for a couple of years now. I just didn't see any way that he could not be indicted, because I do believe, had it been someone else and the circumstances were the same as far as we know them, I do believe that that person too would be indicted, even though I don't know that I necessarily personally agree with indicting someone. I don't know that I agree with the whole thing as it relates to hush money. I didn't agree with the whole Bill Clinton and impeaching him thing because of an extramarital act that he had as well. Some may say, well, John, your morals are all way off, and maybe they are. That's one's opinion. I just didn't think that rose to the occasion that it did. And that you got Ken Starr, and we're spending gazillions of taxpayer dollars. And I would say the same as it relates to Trump. I think that this particular case, if I were to gauge the likeliness of the indictment or the severity of the case, I would put this one at the bottom. I would say that the Georgia scenario is far more, I would say it's heavier, and I would also say the documentation case in Mar-a-Lago is heavier as well. But I'm not the grand jury. I'm not the district attorney. But that's just my opinion. But I felt like they had to either they had to indict him, or, well, it's obvious, or not. I just don't. I personally, I would never say whether I voted for him or not that means that I feel that he's guilty or innocent in the matter. I just think that the jury had irrefutable evidence, and that something that's not defensible. and that's why they voted to indict the former president.
Tahir said Trump went full American on him. And Trill said, in my opinion, Trump was best for America since Clinton. Before we go, John, grand jury, what are they attorneys? Are they judges? Are they just normal people?
Yeah, they are. They're our peers. The grand jury is comprised of normal, everyday people who could be attorneys, who could be other people with various occupations. But it's a secret, and at one point they were trying to find out who some of them were, and that whole tactic. I think that I said this from the beginning. I know we got to go. If I were Donald John Trump, I would have never run for president of the United States of America. I would not have done it if I were him.
Right. Wow. All right, John. I'm sure G-Man, Pastor Burns will have you on tomorrow and for the political show. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Love you. All right.
Love you more.
Peace and blessings, Mesquite Town.